Hi, we're going to talk about 3 tips that are going to help you get through your breakup. This all comes from I Can't Believe How Much This Hurts. This is a book that you can get on Amazon.com. There is also a course available for the entire book. I will link that in the description, and it's always in my profile. So the first tip, by the way, this can help whether you broke up yesterday, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. The strategies in the book are to help you get through the breakup, no matter how long ago it was. So even if you're still trying to get through a breakup that happened years ago, you can still go through these exercises and it's going to help you to move forward to a degree, right? So healing is always a journey. It's always a process, but there are ways that you can structure things and exercises you could go through that are going to help you to actually kind of break free and start to move. Okay, so the very first tip, you want to limit contact. This is one of the hardest things to do for most of us, right? And you kind of forget how much a breakup hurts until you go through another one, and then you're like, oh, this is so painful. How did I forget that this was this painful, right? So one thing to do, limit contact. That means physically, right? We got to stop hanging out with our ex. I mean, you don't have to, but it's going to be even harder for you to heal and really let go and move on. I know sometimes an ex will move on and even get a new partner, and the one who can't let go still hangs out with the ex, and it's just like re-traumatizing and so painful every time they're around it. But they would rather have that than let go. And I know sometimes that's where you're at, and it's okay. So if you're not ready to let go of your ex yet, that's okay too. You could still learn about these. And then maybe, tomorrow you'll be ready, or maybe in a couple weeks you'll be ready, or maybe in a little bit of time you're going to be ready. And at least you're going to have these skills to know how to move forward when you're ready. So it's okay. Wherever you're at, acknowledge it, accept it, and just know that you probably will not always be here, right? So limiting contact, that also includes, so of course, right, being around them physically, but it also includes, sometimes you have a shared friend group. That can happen, right? When you're kind of hanging out with the same people all the time. Well, when you're around those people, if it's really painful, right? If you're grieving and trying to get over your ex, anytime you're around someone who brings your ex up or keeps talking about your ex or what your ex is doing, like updates on your ex is coming out, that's going to make it even harder for you to just move on. So you may have to limit contact with people that you shared in your life. You may not. And if you do, it might only be for a period of time so that you can grieve and heal and move on, and then maybe you could reconnect. That's up to you. So the extent is always going to be your choice. These are just tips, and then you decide what works best for you. So limiting contact with others that are like mutual acquaintances or in your friend group, that's something to consider and to think about. And also looking at them on social media. That also falls under limiting contact. So looking at their Instagram or Facebook or any other way that you can see them and see what they're doing, right? All those reminders. I would really recommend that you limit those. Again, it could only be for a period of time. It may need to be indefinitely. It's up to you. You would have to figure out what that answer is. But just be mindful. The more you kind of keep up to date with their life, whether talking with them, from their friends and your friends, or through social media, the more you do that, the longer it is going to take for you to heal. So those are some things to consider. At least you could also be mindful, like, oh yeah, I keep thinking about you, but it's because I keep talking to you. I can't let go and move on from you because I keep hearing about you. I keep looking you up. Like I have no self-control. I want to know what you're doing, even though it's so painful. So just being mindful and honest with yourself. And that way, when you're ready to move, you have an idea of what to do. Okay. Or to move on, not move. The next one, don't emote with your ex. For some breakups, it's just a quick breakup and it's done. Like it is a solid steel door that is shut. Even if you wanted to contact again, you couldn't, right? If you wanted to be in touch with them, you don't have a choice. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you work with your ex, right? So the way that you don't emote with your ex, when you emote with someone, you're sharing what's in your head and what's in your heart. So you're telling them what you're planning, what you're thinking, what you're fearing, what you're worried about, your greatest hopes, your dreams. If you're sharing any of that with your ex, that means you're emoting with them. The more you emote, the longer you stay hooked to them, right? Because now you're hooked to them emotionally. So if you don't emote with your ex, then you stop sharing what's in your head and what's in your heart. That can be really hard because a lot of us, when we get with someone, that person kind of becomes our best friend and maybe even like our world to some extent, right? So we mostly have them. We share everything with them. So now when something new happens, that's usually the person we reach for or want to talk to because they're the most up to date on our lives. So we could just pick right up with them, tell them everything what's going on, because they know all what's happening in our family. They know what's happening at work. They know what we've been trying to do or trying to not do, right? So when we get new information, they're kind of the easiest to share, and they're the ones we want to share with because we've been sharing with them for a period of time. Or if it's been years since you've actually spoken to them or been with them, you still want to update them. You still want to tell them how something is turning out or panned out. So it can be very difficult. One tip to deal with this is to buy a notebook. You can even buy a notebook at the dollar store. Use computer paper. You can even use your phone. But the whole goal is to emote with yourself. And you're going to do that through writing. So you're just going to write, what are you thinking and what are you feeling? If you were to talk to your ex, you just write down everything that you would tell your ex, but you tell it to yourself through the art of journaling or sharing with yourself. That really goes far. So most people find that when they start doing that, they feel less tempted to talk to their ex. They actually find some joy in connecting with self or with themselves. So be mindful. Stop emoting with your ex, which means we got to stop sharing what's in here and what's in here. And we can share with ourselves by writing it in a notebook or computer paper or through our phones, right? In our note app, however you do that. You could burn it when you're done, or you could save it. You could delete it. Either way, the point is actually physically go through the process of getting it out, because that's the whole point, is to get it out. You're less tempted to reach for them. By the way, when something good happens or something bad happens and you reach for that person first, that means you have an emotional reliance on them. The more you rely on them, the harder it's going to be to unhook. And you don't have to. You can learn to rely on yourself, or build up a support system for yourself. But of course, that's going to take time. So in the meantime, learn how to just simply write to yourself. It's just, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What would you say to your ex if you could talk to him about this particular thing that just happened? So that's tip 2. The third tip is to change your space to whatever degree you can. Your brain works off memory. So you have a lot of like triggers or reminders or associations with your ex in your current space. If you shared that space with your ex, especially, even if your ex never came to your house, chances are you were in your home in certain rooms or doing certain things while you were talking or corresponding, conversing with your ex, right? Or maybe you lived together, which would be even more memories with your ex in that space. So anything you can change is going to signal change to your brain, right? It's going to start to free you to think of something different. So if you have pictures hung in certain places and you're willing to change them, change them. If you keep your dishes in one cupboard, move them to another cupboard. If you're able to move your, safely, right? Move your bed in your bedroom, move your bed. Anything in your home you can change. This would be the time to do it, because we want to signal to our brain that change is happening, change is occurring, right? We are breaking free. We are moving on. We're going to get through this and move on to something new. So just a reminder, those are the 3. Limit contact to the extent that you can. That includes friends and social media and contacting your ex. Also, don't emote. So you're not going to share what's in here or what's in here with your ex. If you have to be around them, maybe you work together. If you work together, you could talk about work. You just don't talk about what's in your head and what's in your heart. So you would talk about work, but I would not share how you feel about work, right? Because then that's going to get you emotionally bonded, and then you're going to be stuck still with your ex. And the third tip was change your space. All of that comes from the introduction. I can't believe how much this hurts. There's also a course that's available could feel really lonely going through a breakup. So there's an entire course that you could go through on the book, or find the book on Amazon. Again, I'll link it in the description. Such a hard time. I am so sorry. I too know the pain of a breakup. It's devastating. It feels like it's never going to end, but then one day it does, right? And then if you have to go through it again, you're not going to believe how much it hurts, which is why I can't believe how much this hurts. So take good care, and I'm going to see you in the next one.